Step into the unknown with Shadows of Curiosity, a podcast that ventures into fringe topics, unexplained phenomena, and the mysteries that live just beyond the edges of everyday understanding. Each episode peels back the layers of the strange and the hidden, inviting you to question, wonder, and explore. Have a story to share? Email shadowsofcuriosity@protonmail.com. Born in Bogota, Colombia, Poly Rotterman is a renowned extraterrestrial experiencer whose connection to the UFO phenomenon began at age 7 with a profound awakening triggered by an image of an alien craft. With a BA in journalism and social communication, Poly moved to Israel in 1999, where she continues to live. Recent alien sightings alongside her son inspired Poly to share her journey with global audiences. This is Poly's story of ET contact, UFO encounters, and personal awakening.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, the truth is that I was thinking lately how much I've been, going through my process and where I stand today. So just because we live these experiences and for years, sometimes you don't have someone to talk about. You don't even realize that you went through maybe an alien experience. Maybe you were not even aware of the situation. I think my experience is important because it's another way of contact. So actually everything started when I was a very young girl. I was just a child. But empathy has been something very strong in me, like forever. Empathy for animals, for kids, for humans in general, nature. I feel everything very deep. Energy. Sometimes I don't even need to hear someone talking. I can just read this person's body language and kind of feel the energy, and feeling if like I have deep feelings like for everything. So there was this time that I was 7 years old, and we used to have a beautiful library in the third floor of our place. My father was a pediatrician, rest in peace, and my mother is a nurse. So that library was full of medical books, and for some reason I loved medicine. So I was always wondering with those books, I was coming from school and I used to pick one of those books and trying to understand the pictures, how our heart and lungs and everything looks from the inside out. And I was fascinated by it. But there was this time that I picked one of those books, and the weirdest thing happened because I opened the book and what I saw was a triangle with 3 lights in each corner. It was a black and white picture. I don't know whose book that was, but the feeling is like I suddenly felt paralyzed, and the room where I was standing, kind of time stopped around me. All the noises from the street and my grandmothers and my sisters were gone. And I was just standing with the book, like petrified. And suddenly I started seeing, like inside my brain, falling numbers, like green numbers, like a computer running and running and running green numbers. Those were series of zeros and ones and threes and fives. And it was very fast. And so, it's like the brain, like I'm trying to understand what I'm seeing, because of course it doesn't look real, but I am completely aware of my environment. I am in the third floor of my place, but something is going on. And suddenly those numbers are kind of translated as images. And so I can see that triangle hovering outside planet Earth. And I think that's the first time I got like a telepathic message. People ask how it feels. Well, it's not like you feel something inside your head talking. It's more like a warm feeling inside your chest, but you kind of understand a message. And so the message just said, we are a different kind of plane. This is a different technology. We don't live on planet Earth, but we come to visit you. And while I was having all these experience, I don't know how much time I lost there, but it just ended as it started. In a second, everything closes and all my reality comes back. So I start hearing again the noises from the city and my grandmother, and so I'm standing there just totally lost and in shock, and I don't understand what happened. I don't understand the message. I don't understand what I saw, because I've never seen a plane like that. And I didn't even know how on earth I'm going to even ask to my parents about this or tell them about this, because, like, how can I prove what happened? So I think I just thought maybe this was my childish imagination. And I kind of continued with my life, maybe expecting or thinking that I will hear other people talking about this, or a craft like this, or, kids at school or my parents, but nothing. I was born in Colombia in 1976 in Bogota. So we are talking about a very simple country. We didn't have internet or, you know, cell phones or whatever. So after having even other experiences before that, kind of with paranormal things, I just started researching about what was happening. And the only way back then was through books and magazines and even TV series. So I was buying every single book related to it. So I remember I started even with reincarnation, many lives, many masters, the book. And, I wasn't related it to extraterrestrial species because I was not aware of it at all. But what's important is that I think at some point in our lives, they kind of touch you somehow. It could be through a direct contact, people that actually are seeing the crafts and they are taken like physically. There are people like me that are living this through what maybe is called astral traveling, maybe through sleeping experiences. So we should just put more attention about our dreams, about what we experience every day, and just be aware of it and know that you are not the only one going through these experiences. Now, I didn't know. So I just continued with my life thinking that maybe I was haunted by ghosts, you know. But I finished the school. I started my BA in journalism and social communication. And at some point, I just had kind of a really tough experience in Colombia. And for many reasons, and especially a strong feeling that I need to leave, that Colombia is not my place. For some reason, I decided that Israel is the place to come. Well, I was born in a Jewish community in Bogota, so it's kind of natural for us. But like it was a decision that not even my parents understood back then. I was only 21 years old. It was 1999, the other side of the world, I was leaving everything, my family, my sisters, my everything. But I was really sure that that was my path. And so I landed here. And it was beautiful because actually technology was already more advanced and we had internet. And so I started researching. I was already 21 years old and I just took internet to see what is going on. And so I started researching for triangle crafts and whatever, and I got to the, extraterrestrial things. But before that, when I was in Colombia and I started seeing all those series from the 80s and 90s, Star Trek and V, and well, that was a confirmation for me because I said, oh my God, that's them. And there are other people that know about this and they are kind of sharing the information through the media. And when I remember, I told once my mother, we were watching V, and you were seeing all the reptilians taking their skin, their skin off. And my mother was like, oh my God. And I was, but like, Mom, they are reptilians. That was what they do. So for me, it was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like so natural for me. What people were looking at it like, oh my God, it is, I was feeling like, well, this is so logical. Like, how can we be the only ones in this amazing and vast universe? That's impossible, you know? And so when I came to Israel and I started researching, I found MUFON and I understood I was not the only one and that people were sharing even sightings. And I said, like, what? But I heard for the first time Bob Lazar talking. And that was like a nuclear bomb for me because I said like what? Like, wait, hold on. Like, we have someone talking about reversed technology inside a government basis in the United States. After researching about all the historical incidents, Roswell and this and that, I said like, oh my God, like, is this real? Like, not only there is awareness about this, but the government knows and we don't know. Like, this is impossible. And so, when I came here, the laws of journalism are different. So I could not work as a journalist. I needed to start my BA again. So I took my journalism to this path. I started researching and investigating everything related to the ET phenomenon. Podcasters, book writers, incidents, experiencers, you name it. Because it was important for me not only understanding the phenomenon, but understanding what happened with me. Especially because no one in my family was talking about this. And so I really wanted to understand what was going on. When I came here, I started having, I came here having some headaches, but those headaches were getting really tough. And I had like for 3 years, really bad, like a 24/7 headache for 3 years. I went today to the ER. I went someday to the ER. And after they made an MRI, turned out that the neurosurgeon told me that I needed to have urgently a brain surgery because I had 2 cysts inside my brain. This was in 2006. And I am telling this because one of those cysts was in my pituitary gland that is between your two eyes behind your nose inside your brain. And during the surgery, after the surgery, I was explained that when they tried to extract this cyst from my nose, the neurosurgeon found inside that cyst what looked like a super tiny little cube structure. And he did not understand how that was there or how it got there. But the moment he tried to extract these from my nose, the whole thing exploded. So actually, I almost died on the spot because all the fluids from my brain were like flowing from my nose out. So they rapidly needed to somehow glue everything that was going on inside the brain, and they saved my life. But now in retrospective, I think that it was maybe an implant that I don't have because it kind of auto-destroyed itself when they tried to take it out. Which is also very interesting because this was not detected in all the MRIs that I went through. And if the implants are legit, it seems that they kind of become a biological part of whatever place they were put in inside your body, including the tissues, including everything. It's like they kind of, those implants become somehow a biological thing inside your body. And in my case, seems to be that the moment they try to take it out, it just exploded for some reason. I healed from two brain surgeries, and thanks God everything is fine. But in 2013, I decided that I wanted to get pregnant. And I love kids so much. I have a beautiful connection with kids. It's like I can read their minds and their souls differently. And so the connection and the communication is different. They feel very safe around me. And I love that very much. And so it was a long process because I could not get pregnant, even though all the tests look great. I was losing my pregnancies for some reason. And what started happening is that after tracking it, I noticed that during my ovulation cycles, I was having this experience that was again related to ETs. And this happens usually when I go to sleep. And again, is that feeling of like a paralyzing situation where you go to sleep, but somehow again you feel so paralyzed that you cannot even talk. You try to say something and it's like you don't have a voice, you are like a rock. And suddenly it's like I am transferred somehow into what looks like a Martian soil. It's the best way I can explain it because we've seen, I think, if the pictures are legit, with pictures from Mars. So it's kind of these rocky situation, mountains, a desert, red sands, it does not feel cold or hot. It's a very nice weather, a little bit windy, but when you look at it, it does not look like planet Earth. And I actually remember asking myself, how the hell did I get here? I just went to sleep. So, like, I don't understand what is going on. I am wondering how I get here, and I just start walking and walking through a huge desert. I don't really know where I'm going, but I'm thinking kind of in human terms. I need shelter, I need water. I don't know what's going on, but just let's survive the situation. And suddenly I see far away a figure coming towards me. And I said, like, oh my God, this is great, a human, so maybe I can see what's going on. But when this figure approaches me, I kind of notice that it's not it looks like hovering towards me. And when it gets pretty near, I can actually see that this is a little boy. This is a little child, a 5, 6 years old boy. And I am more in shock. Like, what are you doing here? And I'm looking everywhere and I'm not seeing not family, no, like, what is going on? And this kid looks at me and he looks so humanoid, the hair and all his body, but the eyes, those eyes I will never forget because we are talking about those almond black eyes of the graves. This kid extends his hand and I take his hand and we start walking. I guess through his touch and again, this telepathy feeling he was telling me all the time, everything will be okay, don't worry, we are safe, like kind of calming me. And we started walking. I thought I was guiding him, but actually, at some point, we got to this place where, in the middle of nothing, of this desert, I see a tent. And this looks like a very simple tent, like a biblical tent, like a Jesus tent, no matter tent, for like 10 people. And I said, well, well, great, maybe his family is there and, let's see what's going on. So he takes me to the entrance, to the door, to the tent, and he opens the tent. And I guess, my friend, that's the shock of my life because when I get inside the tent, the whole reality changes again. And so what I saw was a tent in the outside. When I go into the inside, we are talking about a huge craft. This is a round craft. It's so big that I cannot even see the end of it. It's like I'm in one room of this whole compound. Um, this place looks crystal clean, sterile, like simple design. You don't see cables, you don't see dust, like I don't know how you clean something like that. That's just something amazing. And suddenly I see in my left side a it looks like a stairs cube structure with an entity sitting there. This entity looks more like a hologram, but this entity talks with me and he tells me kind of this message said, we are glad you are here because you are the only one that can help us and save us right now. And I looked at it and I said, like, I was lost. Like, what are you like, who are you guys? What is going on? I was sleeping, now I'm here, now the tent, now this is a craft. Like what is going on? I was losing it. But this little boy that picked me up in the desert took my hand again, and through his touch, I could feel like, again, calm down. Everything is okay. And when he raises his hand again, I could finally see the whole place. So we are talking, I could see 2 floors. In the second floor, There are like black smoked windows all around. The first floor is full of beds. This place is actually an ER. Um, from the ceiling, there is a very bright white light, and suddenly I could see in the middle of this room a praying mantis standing there. And I guess that's the moment where your brain goes through a earthquake. That's the feeling, because you are really trying to make sense of what you are seeing, and you've never seen something like that. So the shock is huge. This is a huge insectoid in front of me. And amazingly, I did not feel scared or threatened. On the contrary, I looked straight into her eyes, and it was beautiful because through her eyes I could see the universe and its creation, and a profound knowledge about DNA and evolution. And it's like after some seconds of, like my brain somehow made some sense. Well, she gave me the message. Now it's the time to do your job. And so I immediately felt like I need to start doing something. And doing something means that in that room, in every single one of those beds, there was a woman in labor. There were women in different stages of pregnancy. And next to those beds, there were little beds with babies that were already born. So I understood that all the knowledge that I gathered through my life about medicine, I need to use it right now in order to help those women and babies. Sorry. And so I started running and grabbing with my hands whatever I could in order to see what I can do, checking the pregnancies, checking the babies. And I must say that one specific characteristic about those babies, they looked exactly as the boy that picked me up in the desert. They all had these almond black gray eyes. I checked all the women. I checked the babies. It was very important for me, especially, after I told you all my empathy, especially for kids, to hold those babies, hug them, even sing for them. And because my feeling at that moment was that those women were not really aware of the situation. They were in stress because they were in labor and, in pain and all the natural stuff. But I don't think they were aware of the fact that they were part of an hybridization program going on between the mantis and also little grays that were there too. Those little grays, well, I don't know if they ignored me. They kind of were more robotic somehow, or they were very concentrated on their tasks, whatever they were doing. They did not pay attention to me. And after I finished checking all those women and babies, everything as with the book ends immediately, and I go back to my bed. When I wake up, I usually wake up immediately. I am aware that I went through that experience again. And what's interesting is that that experience was going on during my ovulation cycles. So I was losing my pregnancies. I didn't know why. Maybe I was also one of those women in those beds in that hybridization program. I don't know. What I can say is that when I saw that boy in the desert that picked me up, maybe he was not just sent. When I saw that boy, I felt a strong feeling of motherhood, like that boy was mine and I really need to take care of him and whatever was going on in the situation. So I don't know if he is my hybrid child. There are some experiencers that get to know their hybrid kids. I haven't had that experience, so it's not something I can confirm. But there was this time that I woke up and I felt so lost. I remember I made a coffee, and while I was drinking or having my coffee, I suddenly looked into my leg and I saw a mark. And it was so weird because it did not look like an allergy. I was not having respiratory issues. I did not have like other marks on my body. And this mark looked like a cat paw. I'm not saying it was a cat that made it, but if I need to describe it, it looks like a cat paw. And it looks like I was printed, burned somehow. And I immediately took a picture. It took like 24 hours to disappear. And now I believe that that is also a way, a confirmation, because we are asking ourselves all the time, well, is this real? Am I crazy? Like, why am I having these, what looks like dreams, but it's not dreams, it's so real. And now I come back with this mark. So maybe they did it in purpose, just to tell me, yes, this is real. This is your confirmation. It happened. And I need to deal with it. So what's beautiful about it is that when I look back at my life, since I was 7 years old till today, well, when I was 7 and I opened that book, it was my awakening moment. And from that moment, they touched me. I could not stop. Until today, I've been researching about the phenomenon, just trying to understand more and more about it, but also trying to understand myself too. I truly believe that the more we share, the more we can compare our experiences and understand ourselves better. The issue is that not all of us are in the same state or stage of awareness, and there are some people that are going through these experiences and they can even ignore it, you know? And it's fine. It's totally fine. I think, we all grow up differently. Um, we react differently to everything, to our everyday life. So I guess I, in my case, decided to take the call and started researching about it. And today, I just started talking about my experience recently, only maybe in the last year, because it takes courage also and enough understanding that whatever happened with you is okay. You know what you felt, you know what you saw, you know, and so stand by your story. There will always be people criticizing and judging, unfortunately. But we need to understand that our voices are super important because our experiences are actually disclosure. And when you look at it, you can see that nothing is a coincidence, but more like synchronicities, you know? And actually, my boy was born in 2015. And years later, we started having our first sightings. And today, my boy is having his sightings too. And he's super aware of the phenomenon. Actually, he was even drawing crafts when he was a little boy. And it's beautiful because I think that's the way we can also make this generational between us as humans when you share your experiences with your family and kids. Now, the thing with it is that we need to also be aware of the fact that even though we went through these experiences and we have some certain understanding about it, even our family sometimes is not really ready to listen to all our stories because, well, it's alien. Sometimes people have trouble even understanding human experiences. So understanding alien experiences, it's even more complicated. So my suggestion would be just take it easy. You don't need to open up like the whole book to, even to your kids. Be aware that not all of the people, including your family, are in the same stage of awareness. And so you need to just be careful and know how much you want to tell. You need to protect yourself too. Know your boundaries, and choose the right people for your path. People go and people come, and there are many opinions about the ET phenomenon in the community and many experiencers with different experiences, okay? So it doesn't make your experience less or more. It's your experience. So stand by it. And You will always find someone that matches your path and that you can just go holding hands together, because we are all a little piece of this puzzle. There are no experts in this field. We all know something about the ET phenomenon, some less, some more. But till the aliens don't sit with us here for a dinner, we are all wondering. And it's the same thing with Three Eye Atlas. I'm seeing in all the platforms, like all these like healthy debates are amazing. But when it becomes a battle between versions, so one start laughing at the others because one think it's alien and the other think it's not. That's sad, I have to say, because whether Three Eye Atlas is alien or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is the implications for humankind. And so that's what we need to think about. Even if it's not alien, let's say it's an asteroid or whatever, a meteor or whatever, well, it's not the last object that is going to be in our neighborhood, right? So we need to be prepared. And if it's alien, we need to be prepared too. So instead of taking this as a battle of versions and start laughing one at each other, maybe let's think as humankind. How do we deal with these things? Because it's not the last time it's going to happen. And I guess that's the alien message too. I don't feel they want to interfere with our evolution. The decisions that we are making as humankind are ours for good or for bad. They are watching on us. But we need to learn. We need to learn to go back to the beauty of who we are as humans in our human experience with love and support and empathy. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't even matter, if you're a Democrat or even your God, your religion. Go further than that with your spirituality. It's who you are as a human being, with your empathy for others. And we forgot about that. And actually, I feel the aliens are looking for that. Kind of they lack for that kind of love that we have. And we are so busy fighting that we forgot how to love each other. So let's go back to that and make a better world for our kids too. You need to understand that what looks simple for you, for another person that hears your experience, he might feel related to it. And you just put a seed on this person. And so your job is done. The moment you awakened another soul, your job is done. That's it. Now, it's on this person to see what he does with that information. People will be awakened through you. They will start researching. And there are those that will ignore the call again. But your experience is not simple. It's beautiful as it is. So share it. Come on. Always wonder, always explore, always question. Always do a good research. Always find the best sources. Internet is full of so many opinions, and just I really recommend try to find the best sources and then take your decisions, because otherwise it's going crazy. This is going crazy. Now there is this documentary, The Age of Disclosure, coming, and that needs to be a huge bomb. Well, I mean, it's not that we don't know about it, whatever they are going to say in that film, I guess. We know, but my feeling is that, as well as in the hearings, sometimes this information isn't really for us, but for the general public to be more aware. So again, maybe someone that was not aware of the phenomenon suddenly saw the hearing and starts wondering, the job is done. See? So it works like glue. The more we share, the more we build this puzzle.